All right. Hi, everybody. We're going to be looking at some VODs. VODs, fun VODs. I decided to do this because I have to watch these VODs anyway, and it helps me to learn about the game, to talk to you guys, and to, you know, have to slow things down, verbalize it for me too. So, considering that this is kind of part of my prep. So, I'm going to take a look at some Chinese games first and then probably this series VG versus Snake because VG's been doing a lot better recently. And I haven't seen these yet, and obviously I don't get to watch a lot of the LPL games live because they're broadcast at the same time as OGN, except for on Sundays. So then we will. So I usually take a look at some of these games, or at least the more exciting matchups. And then if you guys have a particular VOD you want me to break down a little more, then we can go to that. So we're not going to use the casting for this. Obviously, the casters are really good for pretty much in any region right now. You're going to be looking at, they'll have good analysts and stuff, but a lot of the time it's really helpful to go back, because if we do these full analysis VODs, I can go back instantly and take a look at what's going on in these games, which we don't really have access to when we're at the desk. And plus, you're trying to make it, as an analyst commentator, you're trying to make it entertaining and try and pick up things that happened the first time through, but we can really go back and dig into these better. So it's going to be a little bit different kind of experience here. I haven't really tried doing this. I used to do VOD reviews with Papa Smithy where we would talk about games and stuff like that, but maybe we will again. I like doing stuff with Papa Smithy. But until then, just gonna, take it easy. People like it. Maybe I'll do it more. I don't really know. Maybe it's just a one-off thing for today. Let's take a look at VG versus Snake. So for those of you who don't know, these are really good bans against Snake because Baka can only play Xerath, and he's really, really good at Xerath. And then Crystal, the Snake likes to run a lot of Juggermaw compositions, so they take out the Kog'Maw, which I don't really agree with. I'm not really sold on Kog'Maw without Lulu, although with the meta changing in 5.5 to more tanky junglers, we may see more auto-attacking ADs, generally speaking. And then the Callista, just a bully pick for Crystal. So I think this is really good bans. This is the Cho'Gath ban. There's been a lot of mid-Cho'Gath in China, in case you guys didn't know. It's been happening a lot recently. Dandy's Nidalee has been really, really good. So let's take a look at how the rest of this draft's going to go. Pretty standard draft so far. Rek'Sai first, no surprise. Maokai, Janna, no surprise there. Hitong, this is all really standard. Of course, Mata on Thresh. Great playmaker. Crystal does play a lot of Draven, and we've seen Juggernaut Draven compositions too. Snake in the past has even done stuff like run Nunu and put a Crucible onto Nunu. So they had two Crucibles with Lulu and Draven. So basically, he would just get Wild Growth and stand in the front line with two different cleanses. It was pretty funny, but that was several weeks ago. Quirky, okay, whatever. Not that great with Nunu, but Beast is a Korean jungler, and so Beast and L are the Koreans players on this team, and then Crystal, Baka, and Flandre are Chinese, and then on VG, of course, Dandy Mata, from Samsung White, and then Vasily, from LMQ, and then Carrie and Hitong are the other Chinese players alongside Vasily. So we have two Koreans on both these teams, and three Chinese players. A lot of people are really hyped about Crystal right now. I don't really have an opinion. I know a lot of the LPL experts really dislike, if you guys watch China Talk, they don't really like Snake as a team, but Snake is really consistent. I don't think they have a really high ceiling, and I do think these target bans are really effective against them. And they haven't shown a great deal of diversity and strategy, but they are really consistent in what they do. So that's why they're towards the top of the standings. I think they're still third. All right, they're going to run a double AD with Nunu. So this is a great composition. They have good disengage. They have great zoning with Maokai and Nunu. And if they do lock in this Ezreal, you've got a couple different Blood Boil targets. Although not a really great Blood Boil target, but at least you have two. But this is going to be really effective at killing their backline immediately. So I'm just going to skip past Atlas and Spawn. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's get into the actual game. I'll try and watch. Okay, so somebody wants to know what Juggernaut is. It's a strategy that really hasn't been used very much in the West, mostly by Korean and Chinese teams. It's one invented by the GE Tigers, where you have a solo lane Lulu, usually top because you want a more damage source out of mid most of the time. That's the best way to run it, in my opinion, as opposed to a tank in the top lane. And basically, Kog'Maw is the front line, just gets wild growth and buffed, and it's probably the best comp in the game right now if you can pull it off, because it's nearly impossible to stop sieges. You just can't. Kog'Maw will just run around with his W and attack your turrets, and you can't hit him with skill shots because he has Whimsy on him with, 400 AP, and then huge shields. And if you try to engage, you just get knocked up, and then he kites you. So it's not. You have to flank against it, but after a certain point, if you're a good team, it becomes really, really difficult to actually stop. Okay. So Snake is doing the thing right here with Maokai that a lot of teams do. Okay, let's stop this. So you see a ward right here. This blue ward. So they suspect that Maokai may do the sapling trick in order to get the mid laner ahead, which is where you drop 2 saplings in the raptor pit, and then Ezreal will go ahead and clean up the little raptors to get a small level advantage here in the mid lane. You usually want to try and disrupt that, especially if you have a ward here. You want to try and drag the saplings out before this happens so your mid laner doesn't start at a disadvantage. So, not really sure what they're doing. I think he did it. It was hard to tell, but it looked like the saplings went down. But we'll have to see if the level advantage in the mid lane actually occurs. So, lane swap situation already. Not a big surprise. You don't want to be the Corki Janna in a Thresh Lucian lane. That's pretty brutal. It's a good way to fall behind early. So we're just looking at some harassment right here. So you can see he did get the Raptors. Baka 2, Hitong 1 right now. So that's the little edge that it gives you in the laning phase. He did get more creeps though too, so since we didn't see the start, he may not have, but he got at least 1 from the saplings being there. At least 1 little raptor. Okay, so they're going to send Maokai to lane immediately. Snake is. And still double jungle going on for VG. So Maokai's getting a lot of experience here, but the lane's pushing out. And there's a freeze up in the top side. So everything, this is a good start for Snake overall. Although nothing too much has happened yet, obviously. Interesting. Okay, so Mata's going to walk in and put a ward there. It is seen. So Mata made a bit of an error right here. Usually you want to place that ward, unless they're going to dive immediately, which it looks like they're actually going to do. So if they dive this or try and zone him off the tower, then that's fine. But otherwise you want to watch the minion waves because you don't want this ward to be seen. You don't want your enemy to know that what you know about who's moving into that lane. Well, I don't want to watch the bit. Thank you, Observer. Okay, so they're going to zone him off the wave. So that ward was useful just to know that they didn't have any more support there besides Janna and Maokai. That's a little bit risky by Beast to go into the bottom side of the jungle right now, because that's the strong side, and you could theoretically still have that Rumble walking around. You don't really know, especially with Grout coming back up. But since they know jungler's bottom side, they can send the Rumble safely into the top side, deep in the lane. So that's pretty good for VG already. Somebody asking if Juggernaut, are we going to see the resurgence of hyper carries? I'll just answer that question, because this is good theory crafting, because we've seen some 5.5 play now. The reason why, I would say yes, but the reason why we're seeing a lot of these auto-attacking carries like Kog'Maw, maybe Caitlyn, maybe Vayne, coming back into the meta is because actually of the tank changes in the jungle, right? Because when you have a lot of tanks in the game, you have to have something that can break it. And now that jungle tanks are becoming more popular again, basically you used to be able to just poke out the junglers with a lot of the caster carries like Corki or Ezreal. And now that's probably going to change because they're just not going to be able to kill the front line anymore. So actually those jungle item changes are... I think people... Actually, I don't even know what people think, but it's a really big patch. It's a really, really big patch. It's going to change a lot about the meta. So nothing too interesting yet. You can see that Dandy changed his jungling after getting that ward in. So they knew Beast was bottom side, and then Dandy met him on top side just to make sure this Rumble is safe, because Corki is really dangerous in a 1v1 with a top laner. He does a lot of damage, and he scales really nicely with levels early on, because his P-Bomb does a lot. So Carry has to be careful up in the top side. Baka's doing really well in this matchup, actually. He's pretty far ahead in terms of CS. It was a really nice deny earlier on Flandre also. That's super risky from Dandy. But they did have... Mata responds immediately, so at least they had bottom pushed up so he could do that. But he took a lot of unnecessary damage right there. Kind of waiting for something interesting to happen in this game. I mean, Carry is getting super ahead right now because the thing is, so what happened was because they knew that Beast was down here and that there wasn't a dive, because they also pushed Janna off the tier 1, Carry was able just to walk up and actually break the freeze, and now it's rebounding into his tower. Meanwhile, the big wave that was in bottom side in this lane swap for VG was just rammed straight into the tower, and then they were zoned off because Mata and Dandy came up here and actually got between the turrets. So that was a really, really nice play from VG, and that's why they have this big lead right now in the lane swap situation. Only one level lead, though, so it's not the end of the world. What do you think Riot will have to change to bring Ignite back to the top lane? I never want to see Ignite in the top lane again. I like Teleport. I think it's much more tactical, and lane swaps are the most interesting part of the game and the most advanced. So why would I want Ignite back? The more mobility, the better, so you can make intelligent plays on the map and make more options. I'm totally not interested in somebody pressing D and killing someone with true damage. Boring as shit. Wow. This Maokai's getting screwed. Vici needs to come deal with this situation. So this is getting ridiculous at this point, because if we go back and we take a look, Mata's doing such a good job of keeping them off the wave. Like, he should be allowed to do this. Are you joking? Like, he shouldn't be able to walk up to the duo lane right here. They have a ward and try, and they have... What? He can't... Man, Snake is just playing so scared. There's no reason for Mata to be able just to walk up like that. The thing is, they're kind of abusing the fact that there's a Nunu in the jungle and he doesn't have a lot of kill pressure. But you have to do something right here in order to stop this from going on. I mean, honestly, at this point, Baka could even True Shot Barrage the bottom wave just to try and shove it into turret if they're just going to try and freeze. There it is. Good job. Good job, buddy. So VG now is fast pushing it because they know there was a recall. So they're trying to deny even more. This is a ridiculous bungle of a lane swap from Snake. VG played it nicely, but basically Beast didn't do anything to help at all. At all. Like, okay, so here in the lane swap, choose one of two things. You either try and deny carry up in the top side as hard. Beast just has to do something. Ella also is not being very helpful. And he's not on a playmaking support, so it is difficult to be helpful as Janna in this situation. But you have to do something. You can't just let Flandre get screwed like this. He's 2 levels down now. It's really hard to come back from this situation. Especially because VG also has Dragon control, and if they just push up, they can start Dragon and almost dare Snake to do something about it. See, what they should do right now, what VG should do right now is try and push up mid, and then try and take drag as they have pressure on bottom, and then just dare them to let this Rumble teleport who has Equalizer against Flandre, who's level 4. There's no reason you can't do Dragon right now. And that's what they're going to do. Good job, VG. VG played this really nicely, but Snake also just kind of rolled over and died and didn't do anything. Easy drag. VG's early game is really good here. Dandy and Mata played this really, really well. Even, like, Hetong as well. Carry played it well. Hetong played it well in terms of when he was going to push up that lane. Vasily had to do nothing, pretty much. He just sat there and farmed. Okay, so at this point, if you're Snake, you're kind of like, ah, shit, we're screwed. So what they should do is, this is where they should, it's hard to say. All right, they have to swap Maokai back into the top lane. So I guess what they should be going for is to attempt to slow down this Rumble a little bit. And if Maokai farms next to his tier 1, Rumble doesn't put a lot of turret pressure down. So he should be able to do that, especially with 2 Doran's rings. And then once he gets his Catalyst, he'll have fine sustain. And then maybe they can make a play, make a gank up into the top side onto Rumble if he overextends. So, but they have to get their dual lane now down into the bottom side. Beast is doing the right thing. He's getting some deep wards in. Wow, they're really putting a lot on Crystal. But the thing is, Crystal hasn't gotten a lead. And he's level 8 now. He needs to get into a lane and start putting pressure down with his rockets, because he's doing nothing. In this matchup, basically, you know, Corki has a hard time until 6 getting harassed by Lucian, but then he can win poke versus Lucian now. He should just go back and switch into the Lucian lane and try and just hit him with a bunch of rockets. He also, because also they have True Shot Barrage, which Baka just used on the wave, but if Baka can hit Lucian in the bottom lane with True Shot Barrage while Corki's hitting him with rockets, it's really devastating. That's what SK Telecom likes to do when Faker plays Ezreal and they play double AD. But they're probably the best Ezreal-Corki combo in the world because Faker hits True Shot Barrage onto everybody in all the lanes all the time. He basically just uses it on cooldown. Wow, they should not... Okay. Right here. What is Carrie doing? Yeah, that's not good. I don't think. Basically, okay. So you know this tower is going to go down. Corki's got a Sheen. You're not going to be able to stop him from doing it. So what Carry should be doing, because he has no wards right here, and there's a, there is a Rek'Sai at least to back him up. Dandy is right here. But you're probably not going to kill Corki with all his summoners up. And I don't think they know where Nunu is right now. So right here, what Carry should do is he should just let the tower go down, because he can't save it. And by eliminating this wave right here, he's going to bounce it back now. So basically, he had the opportunity to pull this wave down this way and let it freeze right here and actually farm and increase his advantage over Flandre even further. But instead he clears the wave, and this also ties up Dandy in a really weird way. If they get a kill, it'll be worth it, but otherwise, this is not good. Because now he has to play really overextended, and that means Dandy has to stay up here on top side. I don't even understand why the Observer keeps looking at mid lane. This is horrible. Thank you. Like, either of the side lanes is way more interesting right now. It's just been wave clear central in mid lane. So it's going to push back anyway now. But he could have had this freeze sooner, and he could have denied Corki, or at least forced Corki to go back. Wow, Flandre got so screwed. Holy shit. Mata has been such a boss this game. That's really the untold story here, is Mata just zoning the ever-living shit out of Flandre. Wow. Carry let Crystal get so much farm because he did that to the wave. It's like that tower doesn't really matter. It's going to go down anyway, so why not just get the advantages that you can? That wasn't good. It also made Dandy waste a lot of time. And the thing is, Dandy could have been bottom side faster, so they could have just fast pushed this wave and pushed them off the turret again and taken control of blue faster and better with more wards. It's not good. So little things like that can really mess you up in terms of a professional game. Hiton got the blue. It's nice. Still a pretty good play. Could have used some deeper wards there at first. And now they have the freeze in top lane. This game's over pretty much at this point. You're not going to come back with this Maokai so far in the hole unless Vici really screws up. Because there's now no way that Snake can ever fight Dragon. Like the next two dragons, they can't fight at all. Because Rumble has an insane power spike even without items right now. As soon as he gets level 11, there's really nothing they can do. Oh my god, he's 3 levels up. Oh. Yeah, Snake. This is a really bad lane swap. Is Trundle coming back? I don't know. Probably not. They're just better tank options. Maybe though. The double tank meta in jungle does change things a bit, so we'll see. I'm not sure on that. What the hell, Crystal? Okay. Let's take a look at that again. How did Dandy get in that try, actually? Okay, so they had a ward on Dandy at Gromp, I believe. Yes, they did. So they know Dandy just walked in to try. Crystal should know that Dandy was there. And he walked up. And his jungler's bottom side. And Janna isn't there. And he just all-ins carry. That's incredibly dumb. Wow. Okay. That's really bad. That's really bad. So you can put all the wards down in the world, but if you don't actually look at them, then they don't do anything. So Danny gets a free tower out of it too, or almost. It's a good push though. Reverse the wave. Oh man, Snake just can't do anything. The other issue with Snake is that they're really dependent on power spikes, and they should be in theirs right now. And they got so far behind that they can't do anything. Oh, that's so brutal. They just took all the outers in one go and drag. Okay, this game was over at the lane swap when Snake played it so terribly. But props to VG, that was some really clean lane swap play from them, but they didn't really have to try very hard because they were just given everything on a silver platter. They didn't have to fight for it, really. Beast did nothing. It's one of the problems with Nunu. Especially in a lane swap situation, because I think Nunu's just better in standard lanes, because that way, basically, if you're playing Nunu in standard lanes, you can just counter jungle them and walk in there pretty fearlessly and find their jungler so that their jungler can't make plays on your lanes. And you can play a pretty good pressure game in lane as long as you're constantly counter jungling. But in this situation, if you have to break a freeze or anything like that, it's not good. So we'll see how VG plays this one out, though. Because they just took Dragon, and with their composition, they really want to fight around objectives. Their siege is okay. I guess they can just walk up and Equalizer and Death Ray and then have Vici auto a turret. They can do that too. They actually have a lot of options. This is a good comp. And they can split push too with Rek'Sai. But they actually have to make a decision. Wow, they're keeping Flandre out of the Rumble lane. This is a disgusting CS advantage and level advantage. Okay, they should just dive. Or just poke people off the turret. Just drop Victor ult and Rumble ult and just take a tower. Vici should group with them. They actually can't stop that from... There's nothing that could pretty much go wrong with that if they just all group. Especially if they take blue buff right now and put it on Victor. They can just take bottom side right now. Oh, Dandy took it. Weird. No, don't have the Victor split push. See, they're letting Flandre get all this farm for free right now, and they're not putting any pressure down, so he can just do whatever he wants. I don't know how Dandy thinks he's actually going to kill Beast right there. VG's dropping the ball really hard now. You don't want the Victor in the Corki lane either, because he can get poked by rockets. And he can't really harass Corki as well as Corki can harass him when Corki has Trinity Force already. Yes, Dexter, V's can only play Jarvan and Nunu. This is true. That is a true statement. So, yes, perhaps we are overlooking the limitations of the teams here. How often do I do VOD streams? Well, never. This is the first time. I could do more, though. Yeah, Dexter, you're right. You're right. They can grind out the game for Dragons. They absolutely can. They obviously have, like, insane dragon control with this composition in their lead. But you could also just... They could 100% take towers right now. You just drop Victor and Rumble ultis, and as long as you're careful about the timer, on the dragon, where you know you'll have ults up for the next dragon, I think you just push your advantage a lot harder right now. You could just group at 5 and really easily take towers. Maybe even you get a kill if you can land a hook. Snake only has wave clear on rockets and true shot barrage, so there's really nothing they could do. Okay, they're going to actually siege now. Victor split pushing. This is dumb. This should not be happening. Equalizer's down because Carry wasted it in the jungle, not getting a kill. Yeah, VG's not closing this really well. No, I'm not watching UOL versus Fnatic. No, I saw that game live and never again. Never again. I haven't seen CLG versus TSM yet, though, so I may watch that one if you guys want me to. Holy smokes. Okay. Well, they have Equalizer back up now, so they can dive them behind the turrets, I guess. Why? Okay, VG's doing a really bad job of closing this game out. They played so well earlier. Now watch this. Dragon in 40 seconds. Okay, Crystal dies to Victor and Lucian. That's a good pickup right there. They go in. Mata flashes. He's out. All Carry has to do is stand there with Flame Spitter on, and they're not following that up. Lucian's right here. But now they dropped Equalizer right before Dragon. Not good. Now they don't have Victor or Rumble ult. And even though there's a very low possibility of Snake coming back in this game, that's like the one window they can have, right? You don't want to give it to them. Now they're going to... Why are you sieging the turret 4 seconds before Dragon? You had 5 minutes to do this. Oh, just take some free tower shots. Okay. Holy cow. Is Snake going to get a dragon now? Because they let Corki get back up too. There's no Equalizer. Snake should 100% fight this. This is the only chance they have to get back in this game. Just do the dragon. Just do it. Just start it. They have no ults, and nobody's even there. And you have TP. Good job. Baka recalled. Fortunately, it doesn't really matter. It's actually okay. See? VG just gave up drag. Great, now this game has to go on longer. That was good by Snake, though. That was good. They capitalized on VG's misplay. Okay, ults are back up. There's no dragon. Time to use them to siege. Okay, Carry should also have Zonias right now. He shouldn't have built an arm guard and then be going into Abyssal. That's really lame. Yes, there's a lot of magic damage, but it's also double AD, and he just needs the Zonias to zone, basically. If he can walk up under a tower and just Flame Spitter and Zonias, there's no way they can defend it. It's really more about the active at this point and him being able to zone properly around objectives. So switching builds midway is just really trash. I mean, we're basically just waiting for this game to be closed out at this point. I don't think anything else interesting is going to happen. Should be super easy. Is Victor split pushing again? He has Sheen now. Okay, well, I guess if you're going to play split push Victor, you might as well get Lich Bane. So at least he's itemizing for it. I suppose that's what we can say about it. But seriously, you have a TP, granted it's down, and you have a Rek'Sai on your team, and you're choosing to split push with Victor? That's not the right decision. Oh god, how much longer is this game? We're just going to skip ahead because it's pointless to watch this until something actually happens. Okay, they're getting Baron control slowly. Nobody's dying. Ooh, somebody gonna die here? So notice that with their immense gold lead of 7,000, they have only one upgraded sweeper, so they can't even clear it that quickly, but they still get it eventually anyway. Ah, yes, now they have figured out how to siege the towers. Hey Dandy, start split pushing. You're Rek'Sai. You have an ult. There you go. You also have a tunnel in the jungle. Yep. Okay. Could have timed that better with the other wave, but... Oh, they got the turret. Okay. Perfectly fine. Good poke. Oh, that was disgusting damage. What? How did Ezreal get that far in front? Okay, Flandre gets hooked. What the hell? Wow, Victor just walked up, Q'd and ulted both AD carries. How does that even happen? That's something that should never happen. So Flandre gets poked out after he gets hooked, but Box is down. Oh my. Does he hit both of them with Death Ray? Oh, he does. Oh. That's so brutal. Wow. That was really bad positioning. Well, that's the end of that game. Well, I like this game because it only had 6 kills. It was very tactical. This was actually a really interesting game. But VG did a really, really good job of playing the map for the most part, up until they decided to be lazy and not close it out faster. But it's still going to be like a 28-minute game, so how much can you complain, really? Oh, they're not going to finish. They have no minions. Oh.